Hey everybody, my name is Brandon from StockStreams.com, and today I want to go over Nio Stock, ticker symbol NIO. They just reported earnings today after the bell, so we're going to go through that before going into the trade charts to see if there's a level or two to buy Nio if we want to buy Nio. So now let's get started. So here we are in Google, and we can see that Nio is really flat after reporting earnings after the bell today here. We can see that it's basically unchanged from our regular session. So we'll mostly be talking about the earnings report in this video, but the main point I want to make is this 63 billion United States dollar market cap here. The whole video while we go through Nio, I want you to keep asking yourself, why is this company worth 63 billion USD? So with that said, and without wasting too much of your guys' time here, let's head on over to Nio's earnings report to see how Nio is doing as a business. And of course, the first thing that we see and that Nio puts on his earnings report is the amount of deliveries in the first quarter of 2021 here. We can see that we delivered around 20,000 vehicles in the first quarter of 2021, and we can see that that is about a 20% increase quarter over quarter, and honestly that's not bad. It does appear historically that the first quarter is always a little bit slow for Nio. We can see here in the first quarter of 2020 we can actually see that we dropped deliveries quarter over quarter. But of course, that could have been due to the health crisis that was going on over there at the time. So honestly, this 20% increase quarter over quarter to 20,000 vehicles delivered is kind of meh to me. It's definitely better than a drop in sales, but it's also not an astounding jump in sales as well. So if we scroll down here to the financial overview of the company here, we can see that in total revenues here, which is this line on the financial overview, we can see the total revenues are increasing by about 20% quarter over quarter, which makes sense because we saw increasing vehicle sales by about 20% quarter over quarter. So like I said, to me, if you're looking at the quarter over quarter numbers, that's definitely not bad at all, but more meh than fantastic in my opinion. If we look at the year over year change, however, now we're cooking. Now we see that we're increasing year over year by about 500%. Again, definitely not bad at all. And if you look at the total revenues on a year over year view, you should be saying, wow, that is impressive. But to me, as always, what's more important to me than raising revenues is raising profit margins here. So if we look here on the gross margins, we can see that quarter over quarter, we are increasing our profit margins by about 230 basis points and increasing year over year by 3,000 basis points up to 19.5%. And that is really, really exciting if you consider that last year we were actually selling these vehicles at a negative 12% profit margin. Turning this margin around in a year is very impressive. And again, you should be saying, wow. As always, now let's look at the operating expenses here. And we can see that from our loss from operations block, we can see that quarter over quarter, we are decreasing our loss from operations by about 70%. And year over year, we are decreasing our loss from operations by about 80%. This is exactly what I want to see, because if you remember last quarter, I was really unimpressed that they rose operating expenses here. So the question that you should be asking yourself now is, if we're decreasing our loss from operations, is this because we're growing revenues by 20%, or is it because we're lowering our operating expenses? Well, in order to answer those questions, now we have to head on over to the more detailed view of Nio's earnings report. And we can see here in the operating expense block, which is this part of the detailed view, we can see here in this column, which is the most recent quarter of 2021, for research and development, we are dropping expenses quarter over quarter, but we're increasing expenses year over year. For sales, which is this line on the earnings report here, we can see that we're pretty much flat quarter over quarter, but we're also up year over year, same as research and development. So again, this is not really what I want to see as an investor. For me, if you are keeping sales, general, and administrative flat, you should also be keeping research and development flat, or even increasing research and development. As always, the reason for this is because this is investing in their cars and in their products. With competition coming from XPeng, Li, and many other EV automakers coming down the pike, they need to continue investing in their product to stay ahead of the competition. And I do think that Nio is still ahead of its competition right now. Again, you need to spend money on research to stay ahead. So long story short, even though they are spending a lot of money on research and development, I would still like to see more, and I would like to see them cut back on their steak dinners or business trips to Disney World, which they bill to their sales, general, and administrative line. So honestly, all in all, this is not a bad quarter for Nio. If we go back to the financial summary here, we can see that our net loss is still at about 451 million RMB, or about 68 million United States dollars. But that is markedly less quarter over quarter and year over year. Honestly, to me, it does look like Nio could turn a profitable quarter either this year or hopefully definitely next year. But now I want to go back to the initial question I asked all of you all at the start of the video. Does Nio's fundamentals say that this is a 63 billion United States dollars company when they are turning a net loss of 68 million United States dollars? Is the growth rate of about 20% quarter over quarter and about 500% year over year worth that much of a premium in the stock price? Is the potential to be China's #1 high-end electric vehicle maker worth the risk of a very high premium valuation? Can Nio compete with the likes of XPeng, Li Auto, or a small EV car company like Tesla? Again, these are the types of questions that investors should be asking themselves before putting money into the game. For me, I like Nio, I like the fundamental growth rate, and I do see it becoming one of the largest EV makers for one of the largest markets in the world, China. I hold it as kind of an intermediate to large position in my personal portfolio, but I am not the same as you. You could have different opinions and different risk tolerances, and that is absolutely fine. You need to come to your own conclusions on these companies independently and not just follow around the stock gurus on YouTube or TikTok blindly. You are a smart person with a solid brain, and the only person that should make investment decisions with your money is yourself, because ultimately it is your money that you are investing with. So with all that said, let's head on over to Nio's trading charts to see if there's a level or two to buy Nio if we want to buy Nio. Here we are in Nio's charts here, and we can see that Nio has been really waving out in this range ever since our all-time highs back in February. We can see that on our way down, we really hit the floor around the $34 to $35 level, with a ceiling from our range up in the $42 to $45 level up here. So it is quite a large range. Because of this, the first place where I'm really looking to add to my position is down here at the $34 to $35 support level down here. If we look, we've hit the $34 level a share 3 times before turning around. We hit it once over here, a second time over here, and a third time over here. And if I'm putting money on this bet, and I am, I would say that this $34 level would act as support yet again. But again, we see that the first time this candle hit the $34 level, we really wicked all the way down into the 31s. So if this $34 level does break, we could see about 10% downside from that $34 level, and that's why I never go all in at a particular level. I always keep some money dry just in case we see a sell-off that I can take advantage of. Again, the reason why I'm still considering adding to my position is because I like the stock long term. To me, it doesn't really matter what happens this quarter or next quarter. What matters to me is really what happens next year or in the next 3 years, because I think Nio will be one of the go-to EV vehicles for China in the next few years. That is why I'm looking to pick up some shares now. But again, it's a little risky. There are a lot of things that can happen between now and a few years from now. But for me, because I'm young and I think I have some room to be a little extra risky for a better return, that's why I'm still considering Nio in my portfolio. Lastly, just to cover the MACD here, we see that our short-term momentum, which is the blue line here, the derivative of that line, or the slope of that line, is really bottoming out. If we zoom in here, we can see that our short-term momentum is really kind of turning downwards. And that's usually a bearish sign, indicating that our short-term momentum is flattening out. That's just another technical reason why I think we could see this $34 level again, especially if the short-term momentum crosses our long-term momentum, which is the orange line here. That could be a bearish sign. Now the RSI here, or the relative strength index, we can see that the RSI really rolled over here, but because it's not in the oversold territory below 20 or in the overbought territory above 70, it's not really telling me anything that interesting. But again, these are just technical indicators. In order for me to make an investment decision, I really want to combine the technicals with the fundamental research. So that was my review on Nio Stock. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below. If you have any questions or if you caught any mistakes, also drop me a comment down below. If you liked the video, please like the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.